afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are back once again here on the Pros of the North channel. This is Mount Schmoedown. You guys know who I am. I am Ryan Payne, one of your hosts for this lovely show where we do a retrospective on the Schmoedown careers, past and present, of the Schmoedown legends that have entertained us and has made us want so desperately to play in this beautiful thing that we call the movie Trivia Schmoedown. But I'm not going to be alone. Today on my right is the captain, pretty much the commander of this vessel, Ben Trainer. Ben, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to talking about this competitor. He has a lot of matches, and I've been wanting to talk about him for a while. I'm excited to get into it.
Yes.
And joining us is Soda from Schmoedown North. How are you doing today, Soda?
I'm glad to be here again. To be honest, it would have been harder for me to come in last minute if it wasn't for the person we're going to discuss, because I really do love him and I love his career in the Schmoedown. So this is going to be a great time.
Right.
Yes, and of course, if all of you watching this right now, or at least clicked on this, seen the thumbnail, we are talking about the one player who, for the longest time, had the unfortunate nickname of the greatest Schmoedown player to never win a belt. Thankfully, he doesn't need to have that title anymore because he actually is a former champion, the more recently retired Marc the Android Andreyko.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, to me, for the longest time, I could never try to figure out did that nickname work for him. But I'll be honest, I couldn't see any other nickname for him now.
I think it worked for him because he had such in a good way, he had such a deadpan sense of humor that the Android name works for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really does. To be honest, I think if you're looking at terms of like correlating the nickname to the person, I think it more suited him more in the beginning. Now it's just more, it is who he is.
It's kind of like an endearing thing.
It's kind of an endearing thing, yeah, at this point. Because if you look at him, he's not really an android, but when he plays the game, he can be.
Yeah, I do see that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to obsess over a nickname with Andreyko because, to be honest, this man really does have a great. I mean, if you do have to find some similarities within that name, I mean, with Android, I mean, he does have a bit of a good, extensive, almost encyclopedic knowledge of movies, of him like reviewing film, and of course, when it comes with him being a comic book writer and working with so many professionals in the industry.
Yep.
And of course, if anyone's ever seen his personality outside of the Schmoedown, he is a great fit for it. He just comes
100%.
he comes in nonchalantly, just wanting to play, and you just see him perform and throw in the occasional, the occasional jokes, and he's like a great fit.
He is. I said this to Ben earlier, and I like to repeat this as often as I can. If you want to get an idea of who Marc Andreyko is, a couple of years ago he did an episode of the Afternoons with Josh and Kent, and one of the best episodes they've ever done. And you really get to know who Marc Andreyko is through that episode. So if you're a Schmoedown fan, or if you're a fan of the guy, or whatever, I highly recommend going back and listening to that episode.
Yeah. Also, I mean, with Andreyko as well, when it comes to his movie knowledge, other than the Afternoons, he also, at the time when with the top 10, he did an episode with him ranking comic book movies. And trust me, you want to see someone who has completely different tastes or different ideas of comic book films. Listen to that episode of the top 10. Has Matt Nost and John Roker. They're like doing the just to give you a taste. When it came with John and Matt. They were ranking comic book films to not only impress them, but also at the time most people in the public would have agreed with. But Andreyko, on the other hand, some of his choices were picks that made you go, really? Like, wow.
And I remember listening to his reasons saying, I can see that.
Yeah.
Because some of the ones that are on there, man, some of them are ones that are like the general public generally dislikes.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
What number is Man of Steel?
That I don't remember. I don't even know if that was on there.
Really?
I'm not sure. I can't remember the episode. The episode's vague in my mind. I know it was a fun band. It was just a fun episode. But I think maybe he may have put it like somewhere in his like bottoms, like somewhere like in his bottom three.
I would only assume because he brings up Henry Cavill a lot. So,
Okay. I mean, yeah, talk about Henry Cavill as an actor all day, any day. But I think when it came to comic book films, his taste was different because I remember he had the Amazing Spider-Man 2 in his top 5.
He did, and he had good reasons for it.
I think I remember that, actually.
Yeah. I just want to say I am waiting for people to adapt this book by Marc Andreyko. Like, come on, folks. It's screaming for an adaptation, and it is based in true events.
Nice.
It's he wrote a book because he is from Ohio. So he wrote a book on the Cleveland torso murders of the 1940s. It is probably the most defining murder spree of that area. Basically, they were finding decapitated and decomposing bodies all over town, and they brought in Elliot Ness to try to track it, and they never caught him, and it ruined its career. And they still haven't solved it to this day, and that's what this book is about.
Wow.
All right. Yeah. Since you brought that, I also want to bring up another comic that Marc Andreyko helped write. I actually got signed by him at the Spectacular 4 when it was there live. It is his when he helped write a crossover between Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy with Archie Comics.
How did I miss that one?
It's pretty much here it is right there. Aldini, Marc Andreyko.
Son of a bitch.
And it's a fun story here. It's pretty much just a Riverdale comic, but it brings in Harley and Ivy, and it's pretty much a Freaky Friday scenario where Harley and Ivy, their minds, swap places with Betty and Veronica, and it's kind of like a little fun adventure to where you see Betty and Veronica get used to being in the bodies of Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, and vice versa. And I mean, it's a fun read, honestly. I enjoyed that.
I didn't even know that existed, so I'll have to pick it up. 50. I apologize.
We're not going to give you shit for this. We're just glad that you're here for us, man. I mean, honestly, dude, you're a good guy. Honestly,
he is. And we christened a new nickname for him today. He is the Middle Eastern Schmo.
Interesting. Okay, so trust me, 50. We're not like our cousin. We're not like our related Canadians in the North. We're honorary Canadians, so we're not going to give you too much shit. Besides, anyway, people who are with us live, I mean, honestly, we enjoy that you're here with us live. If you can't watch the show, we're glad you're listening to us because, in all honesty, this is kind of like a podcast.
Kind of.
Yeah. But as I'm done with this, let's get back into talking about Andreyko. Of course, as a writer, he's great. As a trivia competitor, MES, love it. As a trivia competitor, Andreyko, it's really it's really hard for me to nail where he stands because when you watch a certain match he's playing, he's like on it. And then there are sometimes you watch his matches where he's kind of really out of it. Not like he's not on par or so. It's just more, mentally he's there to just have fun. But then, of course, when movie knowledge comes up, he clearly knows it. It's just not coming to him at that time. Like last week when we talked about Janine the Machine, that triple threat match at the Collision. It was clear Marc Andreyko knew some of the questions. They just weren't coming to his brain. And it's just like one of those examples where Marc Andreyko, he really can be on it when he is locked, laser, and focused in.
Yeah, I've started to notice, based on what you're saying, that really a lot of that, to me, it appears to happen more in the singles, which, as has come out, that was not his main priority. He is hands down a much better teams player than he is a singles player. Despite the fact that he has had some really good singles matches, he is more of a team player.
And two specific events I want to bring up from his career. The first thing, a free-for-all moment.
Of course.
X-Hex, 5XS. It took everybody by surprise that they didn't even know what happened for good.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 seconds?
Still, and it's still one of the best reactions to anything that's happened in the Schmoedown.
It really is.
Do you guys remember watching that live?
Oh, of course. I was on the same boat as the announcers.
I watched it on replay, honestly, because I was still new. I was still brand new to the Schmoedown. So Free For All was kind of like one of the first live events that I watched on, after when it was over.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched it live because I had started watching by that point. And yeah, like I said, I was in the same boat as the announcers where it took me a couple of seconds to realize what happened. Because in all honesty, if you look at that table, the person least likely to do that was the one that did.
And I love...
Because looking at who he had Roka, Merle,
Bibbs, and McQueen.
McQueen, all great competitors, and he was like and he came in at the time when Roka, Merle, McQueenie, and Bibiani were still at that table. Like literally, anyone before Andreyko came on, anybody else who was in that middle seat got eliminated amongst those four monsters. And then Andreyko, he just comes in with the Wonder Woman theme song, doing the spin. So it's like, hey, I'm just here to play.
Yeah, and he freaking sweeps the table.
And I love his reaction when he realizes what happened.
Yeah.
He takes a selfie, and it is a beautiful moment.
Yeah, it was a great moment. And then fast forward to this year's Free for All, and spoilers, the tables were turned on him. He was part of a mass exodus. Yes. First of what? Was there 2 or was there 3 this year? Because
there was 2, actually 2, because Bibiani was involved in one.
Yeah.
And then because it was Jacob London. And then, oh my God, who was the last person standing in the other one?
Can't remember. I just remember it. Jacob London.
Oh no, yeah, that first one with Jacob London because Bibiani was on that table. I'm trying to remember the second, or was the first one earlier on and then Jacob was the second? You know, I don't want to obsess too over about that, but even then, for sure. But as you said before, Ben, as you were bringing up, that XX5 XX moment stands the test of time, and it is still something that the Schmoedown loves to bring back, not for nostalgia purposes, but just as an example when it comes with the free for all alone. Because that was not the only time the table was cleared. Later on in that event, Sam also cleared the table too, but it's the most memorable one because
of who's in it, of who's on the table.
Yeah. I'll be honest, the free for all is my favorite event of the Schmoedown year.
Me as well. Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
I just love seeing all the characters and the players. It's like a good preview of what's yet to come for the season. It is amazing.
I don't know about you, Ryan, but the Royal Rumble is my favorite wrestling pay-per-view, and I get the exact same satisfaction out of the free-for-all for it because you don't know who's going to come up next, and that's the beauty of it. Remember, was it the second one where we thought, oh, shit, Merle's coming back? No, it was Guy. Like, it's stuff like that it makes me love these events because you expect the unexpected, and every time you're not going to come away unhappy.
Don't forget who the last person was in the first one.
Yeah, that was Dagnino.
It was Dagnino out of all freaking people.
After Sam cleared the table, it was Dagnino.
Yeah. And there's another match I want to bring up. I've been talking to you about this before, and we have to bring it up. There's no way around it. Finn Draco.
Yeah.
How awesome was this match?
Hands down, my favorite match in terms of non-competitiveness, if that makes sense. Because there are a lot of better matches, but when it comes to memorable, this takes the cake for just how ridiculous it was.
And my favorite storyline match.
Yes, there we go.
That was the biggest storyline match at the time earlier in that career. Coming off the big Mega Powers fall apart to the formation of the Lions Den to the rivalry with Makuga and Finstock. And of course, the loser is banned for a year. Jeez.
That's right. Finstock was banned for a year, but he circumvented it anyways.
Well, because Snyder played Josh in a stipulation match that if he wins, Finstock is back, and Snyder won. But then that led to pretty much a 5-round match between Makuga and Finstock, to where it was also a non-competitive match, to where the end was 16-14 out of 5 rounds. So but beyond that, storyline wise, despite the finish, I mean, look, Makuga has admitted at times he's not the best trivia player. He's there to have fun. But Finstock, he pulls a rabbit out of the hat once in a blue moon. But even then, the storyline is still fantastic. I love the journey, especially rewatching that journey when we talked about Makuga in the past, Ben. But even then, Finn Draco showing up there, we thought, when I watched that match for the first time, I'm going, oh, come on. It looks like Makuga's going to get knocked out. But going through that match, it was one of those times where Draco was just like, oh, the answer just really wasn't coming to him. I mean, especially with the Alice in Wonderland question. Like, what franchise had, I forgot the name of last name's Alice, but in the Tim Burton franchise, and it was like, wait, what? And then it's Alice in Wonderland. And I love Andreyko's funny comments like, that's not a franchise. I mean, he's joking, but in reality, 2 movies should not make it a franchise. So the way that question was phrased was kind of weird.
If I remember correctly, during that match, he had like 102 fever.
Yeah, he was. I had heard that he was sick when he did that match.
Yeah, maybe that.
Even more, the fact that he's in a thick wool coat and a fucking mask. Jeez.
Yeah, no kidding. Like I was saying to Ben, like I remember when the match was announced, the pro wrestling side of my brain was kicking in. So I'm like, okay, I can see Finstock getting someone else to be Gucci being someone else to be Finstock, because I'm like, that would technically pass. I never in a million years would have thought it was Andreyko, but because it was Andreyko, and in that image, just to see him standing there in the mask, it's so utterly ridiculous, but it's so perfect.
It is. And I love the fact that even though Christian knew it ahead of time, I like when Andreyko just goes, I am Finstock. He's like, no, it's not. That's Marc Andreyko. I love how everyone plays it. And of course, Josh Makuga really pulling out the victory there. I mean, Draco's 5-pointer. That was, I'm still amazed by Josh's 5-pointer in Oscars, honestly. What movie did William Hurt win his Best Actor Oscar in 1985? He says Kiss of the Spider-Woman and still pulls it out. I remember that more than Andreyko's 5-pointer, honestly, because of just the fact it's Makuga.
Yeah. He was the OG ass puller. If that ass answer puller. He was the OG person who pulled ass. That's what I'm trying to say.
And then we talked a little bit about the singles, but let's not forget his teams.
Yeah.
And he didn't play long with Blofield's cat.
3 matches.
But one of those matches, they had 2-on-1 with Rachel Cushing.
Still talked about to this day because she almost beat them.
That would have been impressive.
Yes.
And the fact that even though she was playing in a 2-on-1 match and she had in a civil handicap situation, but she was still able to pull it out. I mean, I know Rachel has said on record that matches like that and her match against Mara are really not her favorites, and I completely understand from her perspective. They just weren't great for her, and especially at the time where she was still very new to the Schmoedown when it came with a situation like that. Because look, season 4, she was playing in she started off in teams, then started to dip her hands into singles. And then she started to test herself in inner geekdom. Like, she was really stretching. Just like Mike Kalinowski, those two were stretching themselves out very heavily during that season. I know later on, she and Mike decided to be like, okay, we're going to lean back a little bit on what we do best, which they gave us a great rivalry in inner geekdom. And Rachel definitely, kind of like Andreyko, found herself more comfortable in teams. And seeing how Mark was with Robert Burnett, that first match they played against the Heroes, which was Hector and John Schnepp, those two definitely had a bit of a rough start, but they did have like good chemistry there. I mean, they lost the top 10 in the team's Schmoedown, but I still like that first match and that match against Rachel because you do see them work well together.
Can I ask something? I'm assuming Blofield's cats are reference to Blofeld from Bond, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Ernst Blofeld, the snowy white cat that he would have in his lap.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I'm not really well versed on past Bond.
Don't worry, man. It's just like at that time, I thought that was a cheeky ass name, honestly, for me.
I only want to ask you, so that you both of you are much more into the wrestling side of this than I am. That whole bit about Ken not being there, was he really?
Oh fuck!
That was all scripted, right?
Of course.
Best
example, SummerSlam 1998. Kane and Mankind supposed to defend the tag team titles against the New Age Outlaws. Kane no-shows the match. So Mankind has to go on his own, but what happens later? The dumpster's built down. Kane pops up, chokeslams his opponent. The Outlaws win the title. It's not a new storyline whatsoever.
No, I thought maybe something actually.
No. Ben, to put everything that happens on camera in terms of story related, 100% scripted.
Yeah, Christian wants to make sure when he does a storyline, he wants to make sure it's not like it's in his control, but he wants to make sure that everyone involved knows what's going on.
Exactly.
And even though but even then, seeing the whole reaction that Rachel does when Ken shows up, like I'm going to join these guys, it really looked to me that she was pissed off that she was put in this. She was pissed that she was put in this situation. I mean, she was still a great trooper, and but even then, look at Marc Andreyko too. After they win the match. And then afterward in the interview, he even looked a little unhappy with it as well. Like
in hindsight, it gave us really great moments, but to be honest, you could tell that there was some uncomfort there.
Yeah, when you rewatch this stuff, you really do see that not all of them were having their hearts on their sleeves. Sometimes, they're being professional, they want to put good entertainment, but then afterwards you see like, it's a little unfortunate. Even when I know Andreyko, when it comes to his post interviews, he's always been very calm and collected. But then that one post interview he had with Emma Fyfe, to where Emma, she's being a little antagonistic or trying to do the whole like smart, snappy comebacks, and Draco goes off a little bit. Like, I can't remember that. Was that match he played against Rachel in the singles tournament? Because I know this was before the Blofeld's Cat match. You know what?
It was a 2017 Ultimate Schmoedown match.
Yes, it was. Yeah, just seeing how Andreyko really came off very heated at that point. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, is everybody okay afterwards? And then for this the Spectacular 2, where Emma wins the Manager Bowl, and who's her first player? Marc Andreyko.
So I got a question for you, because this revolves around the time, because we were just saying, you could tell that Andreyko was visibly upset and what have you, but do you think that was when the seeds started getting planted, maybe in Harloff's mind, to turn him face?
A part of me kind of feels that way too, because whenever you watch this stuff, especially the Lions Den, the players who were getting the most exposure was JTE and Snyder, with Andreyko every now and then getting a match. It looked to me that even when they formed, Andreyko felt like if he was really the odd man out of this group. Because JT, Snyder, and Fintock loved playing those heels. Then when they bring in Grace, she's great, fantastic as a heel. They bring in Robert Meyer Burnett. Andreyko still felt to me like out of this family of black sheeps, he was the white lamb that was still like, you can see like he was best an example, Soda, in Impact when Sting joined the Main Event Mafia. Marc Andreyko felt like the Sting of that group, because all of our heels, he's the only real kind of face there, but he's being heelish.
Yeah, Sting as a heel never worked, and it's like the same with Andreyko and Bibbs. Those as heels, they never work because it's not who they are. Yeah. Whereas someone like a Gucci and a Snyder and Burnett and what have you, like they're easy to dislike. Whereas Andreyko, like it's harder. You can tell.
Yeah, it was, and I think, before we really talk about who personally what I think was his best time in the Schmoedown, being part of the Five Club, one of my final thoughts I think about his time with the Lions Den, though, he did play a very good supporting character, though, honestly. Like, he was there to support his buddies, a strong faction, like really supporting his buddies in the faction being there. He did have at least some good singles matches. I know his match against Jay Washington was just kind of like, oh, you need a match, and then they pair him against Jay, which I thought, honestly, Jay as a singles competitor never really struck to me, but he had better options than he did in Geek, unless you put him in exhibition matches. But to me, that time when he was with the Lions Den, his only good singles match was against Bibiani, and that was before he joined them. Yeah,
the first year wasn't exactly the greatest, and while it was more prominent, like he clearly had more matches, like you could tell he was better as he went forward, and he started delving more into the teams and not really being the heel of sorts. Once he stopped having to worry about that, you could tell his gameplay started getting better. Because I mean, at one point he was even in a number one contenders match and a title match. Like, he improved significantly.
like he's great with the smack talk. He is great with smack talk, but not along the lines of doing heelish stuff. I mean, because like once he joins the Fight Club, his first match is against Ben Bateman, and and he does great smack talk against Bateman, honestly, because he compared Ben. I still love that line he says in his promo. Ben Bateman is like a young cub, and he's like, I'm someone who has to like smack him across the Serengeti to teach him his place, and that man. And I even like when he comes out, he does this great little. He has this great photo at like this Photoshop clip of him like. Yeah, there's nothing about white noise, 50. We're doing nothing about white noise with our wrestling references. Yeah. Just like how I was nothing about white noise when I dropped in Star Wars references when I talked about Damon.
Yeah.
But Ben, I know I've been taking a lot.
Just for you, you son of a motherfucker. Just for you.
Let me just turn my camera this way and just have this like in the background. There. This is all for you, 50. All for you. You're going to say something before we took.
There is another moment from around this time from the Fight Club time that I want to point out. And it wasn't a match he was competing in. But what it was when the Fight Club did the Charlie's Angels entrance, and Marc Andreyko was dressed as I can't remember which one. That got I love that so much.
Yeah, it was. I think that's why I love this time with the Fight Club more, because not only was he having more fun, but he actually developed a great friendship and relationship with Emma, Rachel, and Clark.
Yeah, and you were seeing that off camera. Like I remember them posting pictures of them studying. They were the first ones, if I'm not mistaken, to borrow the buzzers.
Yes, when it came to Clark's match against Sam. Yeah, they even showed some footage of them like enjoying some wine while testing the buzzer. Yeah, like that showed real good teamwork there. And go ahead, Ben.
I really noticed that you couldn't tell the Fight Club had a special family type feel to them.
Yeah, to be honest,
other factions feel like that.
I miss them for that.
Yeah.
And personally, between our Slayer moves and what we got they do with the Odd Couple, I think they both took lessons from the Fight Club.
Yeah.
To bring more of that out.
Yeah.
I agree.
Keep going, man.
Another key part of Andreyko that he has, and I'll fight you if you say he doesn't, is loyalty. He is a die-hard loyal to whatever faction he's on, whether it's Roxy, whether it's MF5, whether it's Finstop. He is loyal to the upkeep power.
Of course, you'd somehow find a way to sneak it in, 50. Of course. It's a shtick to somehow get Lion King in anytime he can.
To continue what you said, Ben, the loyalty that Marc showed. I mean, even though it looked like what his relationship with the Lions Den was, maybe felt like more of like a, sure, I'll just join you guys and I'll support you. And then with Fight Club, you really see him show that loyalty, and he gets good as a player because expanding on a little bit when we discussed Emma Fife on how she was able to manage them, Marc Andreyko showed complete support because every time the Fight Club had their entrances, you see Marc Andreyko out there supporting his teammates, or like what you said, Soda, him with the Charlie's Angels, or when the Shire Wolves did when they did Thor Ragnarok, you see him coming out dressed as a crow while Emma Fife is dressed up as he's dressed up as the Eye.
He walked out normal clothes. He's just holding an eye and a stick.
Yeah, that's one thing I loved about Andreyko, and especially at the live event when the Shire Wolves play Team Action, they're coming out dressed like they're dressing like characters from Fight Club, and then you see him, and of course he and Emma are there throwing out their signature Fight Club soaps. Actually, hold on, keep going.
Oh, you have one? No.
Yes, I do. I just need to find it.
And I'm trying to find a picture of the Charlie's Angels thing, which is actually a little harder than you'd think.
Actually, just go to Clark Wolf versus Mike Kalinowski, and that's where the entrance was. Oh, you gotta be kidding me! I should have grabbed that soap before we started. Honestly, this feels kind of stupid of me to do this. You know what? Yeah, fine. Okay, my cluttered mess has won for today. I can't find the 5 Club, but I do have it. I still have. No, wait. Here it is.
So explain that to me. Like, is the bar itself had the logo, or is it just on the packaging?
No, it's just on the packaging. It's a regular bar soap that you get from a hotel. They just were able to print 5 Club on it. I was able to get 2 that time, and I used one of those bar soaps when I was in LA. So I kept this one for my own.
Very nice. There was something about that time and about the 5 Club that was magical. Because not only were they a great faction, but you could tell that they were the best of friends, and it bled through into the performances. And that is what makes it memorable. And probably, I wouldn't be surprised, that's one of the reasons why people wish the 5 Club was still around.
Yeah, it really brought out the best in each competitor. Like,
it did.
Come on. Where else can you find a manager? I mean, every manager can honestly say they've gotten their players to championships, but no manager can say they got all of their players to championship like Emma Fyfe did. As much as the Patriots are tied to Finstock as a manager, we didn't see Robert Burnett get taken to go to an Air Geekdom championship under Finstock. Yeah. Marc Andreyko, as good as he was, never got a chance to singles, but with Emma Fyfe, he had himself 3 back-to-back wins against Bateman, wins the triple threat, wins against Ethan Irwin, gets to play for the championship against Bibiani, only loses by that goddamn Ready to Rumble question, because if he had nailed it, he would have been the champion.
Do you remember the question?
Yes. Who played, other than, name 2 of the lead actors in Ready to Rumble? And he gets David Arquette. He just couldn't remember Scott Conn.
Yeah.
That pissed me off because Ready to Rumble even then bit him in the ass. I think at the third free for all.
Yeah, that's a movie that is incredibly niche.
Yes,
not the best.
And as wrestling fans, as Soda and I are, unless you have seen it, you will know when it pops up. So 50, here comes the bzzz again.
How many times did you watch that as a kid?
Whenever it was on cable.
Yeah,
anytime I could watch anytime it popped up on cable, especially at the time I was still a big WCW fan, seeing Diamond Down Page, Randy Savage, Sting, Disco Inferno, Goldberg, even seeing a quick appearance by Raven and Conan. God damn, man.
You know who was David Arquette's stunt double for that movie?
Oh my God, I know I'm blanking, honestly.
It's the Hurricane.
Shane Helms, yes.
So, are you guys sad that right now, as it is set up, it's really impossible for faction to put on the 5 Club? For everyone in that faction to get the belt at least once. I don't think it can be done with 10 players.
I think it can. Honestly, in my personal opinion, I think it can be done for a faction for a manager to get all their to at least eat all 4 championships for their faction. Because right now, right now, Koi he currently has the teams and the Star Wars championship, but just like what Roxy had last year, of course. But depending on who. I don't know who Koi's top IG player is in order to get him that championship. Because as much as I love the Real Rejects, they don't have that quality just yet. They don't have that caliber. And as far as singles, his best shots were Bibiani and the Kid. I know Josh Horwitz right now, he's doing a good job to where you could see him challenge for the championship.
We're talking Quirky Mercs, correct?
Yeah.
No, I think he means any faction. For me, I'm just using the Quirky Mercs as an example.
Okay, because really there's only 3 listed for IG for the Quirky Mercs, and it's the Rejects and Jesse Swift.
Okay, I've talked with Jesse Swift. I played against him in an exhibition match. I know he's knowledgeable. I guess it was just I have to see a second match to see how much he grows.
Agreed.
Yes, because look, I'm not going to judge him or Amaru after their first match they played against each other. I have to see how much they grow afterward. Jesse definitely shows he wants to play. The fact he gets added into that free for all. But other than that, other factions, to be honest, the 3 factions I know that can get all the belts are the dungeon, and looking at the dungeon. Wow, I'm blanking on so many factions right now.
How about corruption?
Yes, corruption, and I'm going to even say Finstock Exchange has the potential to get all the championships. Although, as far as Gold Leader did a great job. Even the Den, I'll say, has the potential for all the championships as well. Look, the fact that Saul has put out an incredible run. We just need to find a good team. I mean, the Outsiders are good, but we need to find a solid team for Kate to rely on. And she has some good singles players in her arsenal.
Mm-hmm. But they're not why we're here.
Yes. No. But Ben did bring up a good question regarding just the stats the Fight Club had. The fact that Emma got all three of her players to singles championships. Rachel got to play for the belt at the top of the year. Then Clark Wolf followed later, and then Andreyko came. And then seeing how they all did in teams. Well, we're going to now talk about Andreyko's time in the Odd Couple because of Anarchy. Sure, he couldn't be managed by Emma, but that beautiful union that came out of the chaos of Anarchy with Jeff Sneider and Roxy Stryer really brought out a combination of knowledge, camaraderie, and I'll even say Marc Andreyko's loyalty too, because after the Fight Club broke up, who's the first person he went to? Roxy Stryer. Yeah. He went to Roxy to ask her if she can manage him and Sneider again. And where did that lead them? To a team's championship.
Now, let me ask you guys, when they were doing that Anarchy draw, when you saw the names pulled out, Sneider and Andreyko, what was the first thought that went through your mind? Because mine was like, this is not going to last past one match.
Same here. I counted it. I didn't think it would work.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Ben. You go ahead.
I was going to say, am I glad I was so long?
Agreed.
I'll be honest. Before a thought can even pop in my head, the moment they said Marc Andreyko and Jeff Sneider, I just heard Sneider just go, yes! I'm like, oh, someone was excited. It looked like Sneider actually wanted to work with him. But then when I heard Roxy Stryer was their manager, honestly, at that time, I didn't know much about Stryer as a manager to go.
Agreed.
I don't think she's going to get them to the finals.
Agreed, because at that time, we'd only really ever seen her work with DC Movie News, so you didn't really know what was going to happen. But like the magic we got from that pairing, they're hands down the best team to come out of that.
Yeah.
Yes, they are, honestly. I mean, of course, looking back at the match, when they played against Mance and Gerber, not much of a challenge, honestly, because this was Mance as a goddamn wild card. And Sean Gerber, he only had experience playing with Superhero News, and he had a back-and-forth trek. And that was a pairing that just didn't work, unfortunately, because Mance, he was just boundless energy that just could not be contained or focused for a match. So they went by TKO. But their match against the Paddington 2, that was the true test, because there was a challenge thrown out, I remember, in that match to where that actually got Matt Ashley and Alonzo upset. I think it was, the Broomhilda challenge, I believe.
I didn't. I'm going to full disclosure. This was a time where I actually took a step away from watching, so I've never seen this match. So you're going to actually have to enlighten me on this.
Okay, well, let me just go over my notes, because when we were talking about Ashley, I took notes on that match, and I remember it was a 5-pointer. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
I was going to say, they were thinking, we socialized from our second round with Nicole Kidman, I believe.
No, it was a 5-pointer for Paddington 2. This was it was a tie game after the second round where the Odd Couple gets Nicole Kidman 9 points. Paddington 2 gets Spinner's Choice, so they get Holiday Films, which catch them up. They get 11 points. Then in the final third round, Odd Couple gets a 2-pointer in Street, which Andreyko nails. Sneider misses a 3-pointer in Comedy. They nail a 5-pointer in Oscars. Paddington 2, they get Comic Book Movies, which at first that was a challenge because they get it first time. Marc Andreyko challenged because the question this was regarding the mask, and then that challenge was upheld. They get a second question, which they nail. They miss a 3-pointer in Action Adventure. Their 5-pointer was in Tarantino. And then what was the name of Kerry Washington's character in Django Unchained?
Oh, fuck.
They said Broomhilda. Snyder challenge, it's Broomhilda. Broomhilda. And because it was upheld, they missed the question, and the Odd Couple won. So that match really did stand out because Andreyko and Snyder on 2 separate occasions challenged in round 3. And that was a big, I mean, that's where it showed on both Ashley. It really frustrated Ashley and Duralde because they were just there to play, and seeing how the specificity came out of those challenges kind of frustrated them. But
yeah,
Andreyko, who is well versed in comic book, that challenge was okay. It was just the Snyder one that threw them off. But rewatching Django Unchained, listening to the conversation between Jamie Foxx and Christoph Waltz, they do say Broomhilda, and then when you look at IMDb and Kerry Washington credits, Broomhilda.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, so it really came down to the specificity, specificity of the answer to that question.
Yeah, because Broomhilda and Broomhilda are 2 different names, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, yeah, go ahead, Ben.
Well, I mean, I want to get on to another couple of matches if you guys don't mind.
Of course.
I want to bring up there are 2 matches in a Shadow Wolves.
Of course.
Yes, we have to.
One and one with him.
Yeah. That's why I'm sad we never got the rubber match.
Yeah. I mean, not just the rubber match, but also at the same time, I would have loved to have seen the Odd Couple defend their championships before these Shirewolves got their automatic rematch, because that too pushed the Shirewolves all the way to their 5-part, which they missed, to where Andreyko and Snyder won. And just the elation that we saw from Andreyko when he got down and won. Actually, not just the Shirewolves match, but their match against Who's the Boss in Chicago.
Yeah.
Consider that match was also very good. I mean, knowing the fact it's connected to the slap. But even then, it was a very strongly played match. Andreyko and Snyder played their top form against Ben and Mark Riley, going towards the end, like winning it all.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, going up against the Shirewolves, they get mixed bag for their round 2. They completely do a great job with it, like really staying on top, or at least keeping it very close neck with the Shirewolves. And then that 5-pointer, man, I was heartbroken when Clark and Rachel couldn't get it, because I wanted to see them be undefeated throughout the end of the year, but I was still happy that Andreyko won and Snyder won, because Snyder, as much as he likes playing the, I won't say odd character, but his character at times dances between eccentric and douchey.
Yeah.
To see him actually win a championship in good earnest, and him actually pay respect to the Shirewolves, knowing that he said in the post interview he did not play his best game. That was not his best game, and the fact that he and Andreyko came out on top really showed that Snyder, when he's paired with Roxy and Andreyko, he really is humble in victory. He doesn't gloat. He is humble because he understands, when I'm not at my best and I still win, I have to show respect to my opponents.
Agreed. Yeah, it was a definitely nice different side to see Andreyko. Of Snyder.
But that's the partnership he formed with Andreyko that brought that out of him, honestly.
Yeah. And Roxy definitely must have played a part in that as well, because that's the thing about Roxy, she manages to their strengths as opposed to just managing.
And Roxy is great at, I said it before, I know we're saying it again, she's great at getting players out of their own hands, doing a match.
Without saying. I mean, not just out of their head, but she has them, not just get them out of their head, but she talks to make them understand, look, what happened is in the past. You want to keep obsessing over it, or do you want to continue playing and win? And even though some of her players do continue to win, or some will lose, but even then, she really pushes them into getting back into that state of mind. I mean, come on. How else are we going to see? I mean, of course, we see it mostly with Snyder, but even then, during the time when Damon was under her management, when we started seeing some of the cracks happening in Damon's, like in his kung fu, we see Roxy as the sensei come in and just like, don't do that. And I love how even with Andreyko, it's not like she didn't have to manage him. She was there mostly as a support coach, because with Andreyko and Roxy knew that Andreyko, she completely trusted Andreyko. And there are times she had to come and bring in advice. Andreyko was not afraid to ask for advice, even if he wanted to challenge something.
Hold on. I just saw Leo comment on something in the chat.
Yeah.
Did I miss something?
Oh,
yeah, let's get into that because I'm a big Charlie Chaplin fan. What happened?
Oh my God. I wish I put notes down that match because I remember that. That was that was the season. That was when he was still with the Five Club. No. This was after the Five Club. This was when he was with Roxy. When he retained his work with Roxy again. Oh Jesus Christ! That match.
This was the beginning of 2019. No.
Yes, this was season 6. This was season 6.
First match. So what happened? I'm honestly don't remember. Hey, Leo, if you don't mind putting in, what was the challenge?
I think it was a challenge about a certain role or movie. And it was about a fucking hell. God damn it. I had this played on 2x speed when I was watching it. I should have watched it a little more closely. That was on me. But I remember hearing about that after the match is over, why it looks so like choppy. And then I remember hearing talking about Andreyko was pissed off by that challenge. He did not want to continue playing. I mean, he was able to. It kind of shows, not shows, but it's one of the reasons why he's just not comfortable playing in singles. But that match, I thought it was good because that match was honestly in his favor to win until Roka made that challenge.
Yeah, and you know what? That he thought Modern Times was his first talking. Well, hold up. Okay. So you could argue Modern Times is the first talkie because there is sound. There is a character that does talk in the movie. Yes, however, the Tramp does not. His first true talking role is indeed the Greek Dictator. But if you want to talk as a movie as a whole, it is Modern Times.
Yeah. And it was funny, though, because they were actually going back and forth on that, if I remember. And Sam Levine actually came in to advise on this ruling as well, because they just
really couldn't go back and watch this match.
Sam Levine talking about the challenge. Where have I heard that before?
Yeah, I know, right? Man, you know what?
It mainly just comes down to the technical specifics. Like you said, there is talking in Modern Times, but it's not the Tramp's character. And I know Roka, I'm coming back to me, Roka was specific to say, no, it's not Chaplin, unfortunately. Chaplin speaks in The Great Dictator and the movies afterwards.
Which is correct, which is why I want to go back and watch the match because I want to see how the question is worded.
Yeah. I mean,
I am a huge Chaplin fan. Like, I've been watching his movies since I was a kid. So the fact that when Leo brought that up, that immediately targeted on that, I was like, okay, what's the controversy?
Actually, I'm going to be looking for that right now. We can still keep talking. I'm just going to find when the challenge was brought up. Then I can rewind to that question and see where it fell to.
Okay. Because if the question is, what was the first movie that Chaplin talked in, then yes, is The Great Dictator. The question is, what is the first talkie that Chaplin did? It's Modern Times.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember.
Back to your point about Andreyko being done. Yeah, if you look at his career, Roka happened, and then he had 2 more singles matches, and that's it. Not including Free For All.
Okay, I found it. It is his 2-pointer in round 3. Hold on, I'm going to pull that.
What's the question?
Wait, give me a second. I'm going to rewind it back. What was Charlie Oh, no, this was Roka's 3-pointer. Sorry, this is Roka's 3-pointer. What was Charlie Chaplin's first true talking picture?
Okay. Wow, that is a weirdly worded question.
Yeah. And Roka nails it, and then Marc challenges it. Yeah. Sorry, I got that completely mixed up. That's what happens when I'm watching this shit on 2x speed.
So it was Andreyko that challenged that it was Modern Times, correct? Is what it was?
Yeah.
He's technically not wrong.
Yeah, he's technically not wrong. I remember watching because I got a chance to watch Modern Times for the first time, and while it's simple, it's classic Charlie Chaplin physical comedy, physical acting. That character who does come in there and does talk, I'm going, it makes a lot of sense for it.
And you know what? I just remembered there's a scene in the movie where the Tramp talks. He doesn't speak like we are. There is a scene where he tells a story as a waiter, but he's doing it in gibberish. That counts.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit! I'm gonna rewatch that again. I'm gonna rewatch that again.
Speaking, it's not English, but he is using sound.
I'm really gonna need to rewatch that. Holy crap!
Yeah.
That changes the whole history of the Schmoedown right there. Because just remembering that, then yes, Modern Times is the answer.
Okay, hold on. Actually, give me a second. I
love how we just spent like 15 minutes talking about this.
No, you know this is perfectly fine. I'm gonna pull. Not only am I gonna pull up this clip. Give me a second here. And I'm gonna share this with you so we can actually dissect this.
Yeah.
But even then, it's one of these situations that Marc. This is not the only time Marc has played in a match, unfortunately, where controversy came up. And we will. We're gonna only slightly talk about that later, but I'm gonna bring this up. Ben, do you see it?
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right, I unmuted it. Let me take off this ad. Here we go.
And I have the chaplain scene I was
number 3.
Okay, here's the question.
Classics. What was Charlie Chaplin's first true talking picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the question.
Oh, The Great Dictator.
That's correct for 3 points.
Wow. What a fight. It is the fight we thought it would be.
It is.
And now Marc Andreyko has a chance.
I just for the hell of it, I would like to challenge that because he only speaks at the very end, and by saying true talkie, that's a full talking.
Then the answer is Limelight.
And no,
we got a
Chaplin's
challenge on the
supposed to
table.
the whole
We got
Great Dictator.
Challenge on the table here.
And then you hear him when Roka's response to that was like, "Oh, if there's on," he also said it's Limelight, meaning Roka already had like another movie in the back of his head. Oh crap! Here comes an ad.
From start to finish, Chaplin speaks in The Great Dictator. I couldn't tell you how many times I've watched that movie. It's a trickily worded question because it could be either or. God bless ads, right?
Correct. Yeah. I'm so glad we have these in our day and age.
Mm-hmm.
All right, come on.
All right, we're making a judgment on the caller here, too. The wording of the question was a little wonky. It was supposed to be the first technical talking picture. John Roca did answer.
Okay, so what they said was the first technical talking picture, which I think he was saying that was meant to be their question.
Which is The Great Dictator.
It's still a little,
It is, and I found the scene. I'm only going to play
the obviously first true talking picture was. So because of it, we are going to award John Roca the 3 points.
Yeah, look at Andreyko right there.
That is a decision that we are confident we had the singles commissioner come in too. So there's a lot of debate on that one. But 1917, and now we get to the 5-pointer for Marc.
Because looking back at that, Roca, I think he does. After that, it wasn't that it fell apart. It was just kind of like Andreyko. That really did take him out of it to where Andreyko was just done with the match. Like, even if he did snap back into it, it would not have been enough to bring him back into play.
Yeah, and here is the scene I was mentioning.
Okay. I love how everyone who's coming on to this be like, wait, why are they playing this? And he's like, you have to watch our videos to understand our context, guys. We're mainly this is
Hold on.
All right.
He does talk at some point.
I know, but we do have to talk over just in case of goddamn copyright issues.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that movie followed how early silent films were, because a little bit of history lesson, like the jazz singer is widely regarded as the first true sound picture. However, only one sentence in there. Modern Times has more talking in there than the jazz singer. So it's one of those.
Oh, what the hell?
That was weird. It's one of those 6 of one, half a dozen of the other questions, because there really could have been either answer.
Well, it's official. My of course, my microphone is completely dead. I will buy a new one.
Oh, fun.
Oh, yeah.
So I apologize for that sound. Anyone who's listening to this on your headphones, RIP your eardrums. But just that alone, Marc and Andreyko, that match, and then this, I wasn't going to talk about this match, honestly, because the stupidity that it brought out of the community. And I'm not saying this as if the fans are stupid, but the fact people were obsessing with this match, in Season 7, Marc and Andreyko's match against Achity. If you guys don't remember the controversy, everyone was complaining the fact that they thought that Andreyko was, sorry about that, 50. And to anyone rewatching this, everyone thought that Andreyko, because throughout the match, Andreyko, he was kind of like still answering, but his hands weren't always on screen. Where everyone thought he was cheating during the match. And then it led to this stupid controversies where everyone's going, let Achity play again. Let him play again. And we're like, and I'm one of the people who were going, you realize this was pre-recorded, right?
Yeah.
They have editors. Nerd Chronic was editing this match. Achity, even himself, had to get involved in this and say, guys, let it. He didn't tell him to let go, but he's like, look, there was a lot of factors in this match. I'm okay with. He was fine with taking the loss and moving on, but there were still fans out there. Even they privately messaged Christian wanting to talk about. Oh,
really?
Yes. That was. Trust me. And someone who plays in the fan leagues, I know there are certain people who reached out to Christian wanting to talk about, hands on screen during the whole, because this was the time when they were still new to the digital age.
Yeah.
This was during the 32-person singles tournament. 32. Yeah. So I was more lenient on, this is pre-recorded at a time. If they really saw an issue, they would have re-recorded this match with new questions. To me, Christian's not an idiot. Christian's not an idiot. He understands there's going to be some problems caused. But that controversy in that match against Andreyko and Matt Achity was something I thought was completely unnecessary. Now, this is probably me going to be on a soapbox here. But as someone who has played in digital trivia matches, I understand it is very easy to lose track when you're playing to where your hands are off the screen, to where when you're hosting, you're going to need to ask them, please get your hands up. And there were people who put out videos saying, how easy it is to cheat. Bottom line, nobody cares how easy it is. What's important is trusting somebody, letting them know. I mean, I'm pretty like I said, it's pre-recorded. I'm pretty sure Christian has said plenty of times without editing that he's told Marc to keep his hands up. But this was just something they wanted to do for fun until they can get back in the studio. Christian did not see digital matches as being something that's permanent. Even now, when they're going back in the studios, I'm pretty sure Christian will start to do less and less digital matches.
I mean, he's been doing it once a week, maybe twice a week.
Yeah, exactly. So looking at this stuff in hindsight, now that we're getting out of our homes, that controversy, and no, not pardon my French, not pardon what airing language, was 100% bullshit of this community to go all up in arms about.
I agree.
Now, if this causes us to lose, if this is going to revert back onto people, you guys can attack me on socials. I don't give a shit. That was complete bullshit.
Yeah,
you know, we're going to have to lose a shit over this.
I 100% agree with it. And to the people that did DM Christian, you overstepped your boundaries as a fan right there. You are just a fan. You do not get to do that.
Even if you have experience recording and editing digital matches, there's a complete difference from doing something you're doing on your own free time to getting paid to do.
Yeah.
And at that time, Season 7 was sponsored by Skybound. So I'm pretty sure they even have people over in Skybound overseeing this stuff. So trust me, there's not something everyone through a fine-tooth comb is going to find that they didn't cover. I'm not saying you were wrong to do it. I'm just saying there's just no need to overstep your bound. Like what So said, overstep your bounds in doing it. You want to not participate in this stuff anymore? You don't want to watch those matches? That is your choice. You are more than free to do that. You no longer want to be a patron of the Schmoedown? Fine. That is within your choice. But it's not something to grab a pitchfork and a torch and to go bang on Christian's door as if this was the 1600s again. If you do have a pitchfork and torch, put that away. Okay? This is a day and age where I'm overstepping myself here. Look, guys, all in all, it's done. This is over with. I think that this was an unnecessary black mark on Andreyko's career. And I'm glad, and I'm pretty sure now this was never talked about anymore until I brought this back up. I'm sorry if I had to dig this back up. I'm sorry for bringing this conversation back up again, but this was something that still needed. But this was something even now and then that sometimes you need. Now that we have the benefit of hindsight, we can all look back on this stuff and go, I was just about to say that, 50. I was gonna say that. But now that I'm off my spiel, I'm taking myself off my soapbox. If there's anything else you guys want to talk about with Andreyko's time at the Fight Club or with Roxy Strider, the floor is yours. The floor is yours.
It was a magical time, and I do wish we still had it because I think it was too short. I think it was too short. We could have gotten so much mileage out of that. I understand Emma's reasoning for leaving, but I think she would have been a definite boost if she'd have stayed when the factions were announced.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, Ben. Go ahead before I say anything.
Here's a question: what if? Well, I know this can happen now, but what if the Odd Couple and the Fight Club moves before and Rocky Strider was in control of that? Would that have worked?
Actually, you know what would have been very fun of that? I don't. How much mid-90s WCW did you watch, Ryan?
I came in around the time when the NWO split into the black and white and the red and black.
Okay. So you're just a little bit past this, but before the NWO, there was the Four Horsemen. But this version of the Horsemen I'm referring to had 3 female managers at one time, and they were constantly bickering with each other. I would have loved to have seen Roxy and Emma do that. 2 managers for one group, but arguing over how to do it.
Really, with hindsight, Chris, there was a golden opportunity Christian could have done to where maybe Emma could have passed on the torch of the Fight Club to Roxy. That way we still would have the Sharwolves and the Odd Couple together. I mean, like I said, it's hindsight and all that. But I would have loved to have seen what happened if Roxy had carried the torch of the Fight Club.
But not what you were saying. I think wanted to do that with Grace and
That's right, with Grace and Emma.
Grace and
at Spectacular 4, when they were announcing the 10 factions at the time, Emma was one of the last, the second to last to come up, because this was after Mike's loss to Smets. She comes out talking about how the Fight Club is back, and then Shannon interrupts her and says she's going to be taking over corruption fully. And then Emma says, well, I'm glad you mentioned that about Grace. And then Grace comes out to be the advisor to Emma for the Fight Club, which later on Emma leaves, which Kate comes in, and we have the Den. But yes, I would have loved to have seen if Emma had really wanted to stay, because I can understand she was going in a different creative direction that the Schmoedown was going. So I completely agree. And I still love what she does with Ben and what she does on Twitch. I mean, it suits her much better, honestly.
Yeah.
I still would have loved to have seen Emma Fyfe embrace her heel attitude to go into the Schmoedown as a manager.
It would have been fun to see Emma go heel. It would have been a lot of fun.
She has the attitude.
She definitely does. How do you think? So I'm assuming this is the first defense?
No. This is when before Andreyko retired. Let's jump to it. Andreyko's retirement, season 8, Odd Couple come in as champions. At first, they were meant to defend in April, but then that got pushed back to May. And then Marc makes the announcement, and then we have the Odd Couple going up against Shazam, which Janine comes in as the new partner. That is a great question, Leo. I think it would have been a similar match to where the Odd Couple would have still stayed par and par with Shazam, but Bibbs and the Kid were on a different level. They really were.
Agreed. Yeah, I think
it may have maybe before round 5. It could have been a 2-point game instead of it was like a 3 or 4. No. I think it would have been maybe 1 or a tied game, because there were some questions in round 1 I thought Andreyko would have gotten that Janine missed.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's not like saying who's better or so, but it's just like with Andreyko. That when it came with Andreyko, it was clear in the championship matches with the Odd Couple, he was the more heavy.
Yeah.
Just by slightly though. Like Andreyko had the edge in the championship matches, where in the regular normal matches, Snyder was the one like pulling his weight too. Because we did see when they won, because Snyder said when they won, he wasn't playing his best game. When they won against the Odd Couple, Snyder really admitted he was not in his best game as well. Knowing that Andreyko was able to be the more calm, collected member of that group, I think he would have done the same in this match as well. But I still think Shazam would have came out on top, winning the belts.
So now they're going forward since the Odd Couple is no longer around. Do you think this is pivoting to Snyder a little bit? Do you think Snyder will ever reach these heights again, or do you think now that Andreyko's gone, he'll never get close to the reaching where he got to?
It depends on who his partner is.
Yeah.
And Janine, I think yes. And somebody else, I don't think so. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe.
Yeah.
Janine did prove that she can carry the mantle that Andreyko left behind. But go ahead, Ben.
There is one person I think there's one other person I think obviously can make it work again. Well, he would have to do some really good dealing to get him.
Bring back the Patriots.
I was gonna say no. Please no.
Yeah, bring back the Patriots. Yeah.
JTE is a native Boston boy, and that's what Roxy did bring him into her faction in season 7. Problem was because of the whole because of what happened in 2020, we never did get to see that happening.
Here's the thing. Next season, Snyder is named with Roxy.
Who knows? I can definitely see him staying with Roxy.
If he chooses to stay, yeah. If the Stars don't win the faction title and Roxy can't automatically choose who she wants to retain, it will be difficult to see if Snyder will stay with her.
Mm-hmm. If he doesn't stay with Roxy, maybe if he goes back to Finstock, maybe we have the Patriots again.
I mean, Snyder definitely wants to play. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because that shows he's ready and willing to play. But even with Andreyko gone, it does bring up the question if Snyder wants to stay in teams, or does he finally want to go after that singles championship like he wanted to at the start of the year?
Mm.
Well, I think we can talk about this more when we talk about Snyder. That's going to be a fun episode too.
Okay.
Anyway.
I do have one question, though, before we do end up wrapping this up. Will we see Marc Andreyko back in the movie Tribute Schmoedown, or do you think he's done?
He did say in his retirement that it's not for long.
Okay.
But I do think for the end of the year, he's not coming back.
Maybe
he might return, just like with McWeenie. McWeenie retired last year. Now he's back. I think
Merle
he might
did it.
Draco.
Merle did it.
Go ahead.
I'll say this. Season 10, he's back.
True.
Yeah.
I think this year, he's not. But season 10, I think he's back. Yeah.
To quote the old wrestling adage, never say never.
Right.
Goodbye for now, not goodbye forever.
We'll see you. Yeah, exactly. We'll see you down the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
But let us pivot now to final thought here for Andreyko. Ben, I did a big ass soapbox regarding the unnecessary controversy. So
hey man, if you hadn't, I would have.
I know when people are going to be rewatching this, they're going to comment going, "Why was he spending 5 minutes talking about something that happened last year?" That is the internet in a nutshell.
Here's the way I look at those at situations like that. Yes, we're fans. We are entitled to have our opinions, but there still is a boundary that you cannot cross because you are not involved.
Yes.
Simple as that.
And as wrestling fans like Soda and I are, we are definitely part of a fan base. Actually, if you are a part of a fandom in general, whether it be movies or geek television shows, sports. I mean, come on. If you guys love sports, if there are people out there who are aware of sports fandom and sports loyalties, you know 100% how fans can go beyond what is set before them. Especially if you're Star Wars fans, you definitely know how rabid that fan base can get. I mean, we just look at the Disney films, for example. Much enough said. Soda, we both know as wrestling fans, we know 100%. There are instances where wrestlers who are public personalities have been threatened, have been nearly put in life-threatening situations by fans.
Yep. Honestly, listen to Jim Cornette talk about the old days. He says there were so many times he's surprised he left the arena without getting stabbed.
I mean, hell, we'll talk about this more later. I mean, but fans in Mexico were so passionate. Jericho on his podcast has talked about times where he's been there where fans have literally thrown bottles at him. Yep. Like, we have brought in weapons to their events because they're so passionate.
Did you hear about what happened right before WrestleMania 14 to Shawn Michaels? Some fan threw a D battery at him and it hit him in the head, and he almost left. Didn't even show up for the match.
Wow.
So before you guys say this was white noise again, but we're just bringing up classic examples of what happens when your passion and your loyalty for something really gets the better of you. And we are seeing this happening with the Schmoedown, not just with Andreyko, but many times we've seen this happen now with new fans coming in. This season, we have seen moments where new fans have been stepping beyond their bounds when they drop a comment and it leads into something. Let's not forget last year with Emily Rose Jacobson, where everyone was talking about her. That led us talking about women in the Schmoedown in general. And it's still an unfortunate hill they have to climb here. They shouldn't have to, but they are.
One of the things that Harloff mentioned, I can't remember if it was this season or last season, is there's a lot of people who will not come back because of that, which is a shame. Which is a damn shame.
But
I digress.
Ben, bring up that pivot again so I can get this out of my mind. Okay. Look, final thoughts. Marc Andreyko.
There you go. Be a fan responsibly.
Thank you. And pivot.
Get that.
Finally, Marc Andreyko. It is sad that he retired this year. I really wanted to see what he was gonna do this year. I'm glad he leaves as a champion. I love the Marc he left here in the Schmoedown. He was part of so many memorable moments here that really, either if he was as a player or as a supporting fan member, because I still love him in the Five Club because great moments. I mean, let's not forget that little intercut when Emma Fife wanted the Shire Wolves in, and they're like, "Oh no, we want to join you now." And then what do we see?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And it's still, you type in the movie Trivia Schmoedown and GIFs, and that's one of the first ones that pop up.
Exactly. So to show you the legacy, I mean, if you as a competitor become a meme, GIF, that really sparks you in.
Yeah. All right. I think we said all we can right now. Maybe not.
Yeah, it's a little too frantic for my day.
Yeah, we really got passionate here. And that just shows you how passionate we are with the Schmoedown. That's one of the reasons why with this channel, we don't try to bring in our own personal bias at times. But when we talk about competitor, when we try to be objective, when I say non-objective, it means the opposite. When we try to be objective, we want you to look at this player, and we want to encourage you to watch their past matches to really see why we love the Schmoedown and why we want to continue staying with it. Even if this show is done for, we're still going to keep looking at these past matches to see why these competitors are great.
Exactly.
I agreed.
Okay, so on that note, Soda, where can everyone find you?
You can find me all over this lovely channel, Schmoes of the North, doing various things, Schmoedown Night Canada. Tonight, join myself who's producing it. Ben is a guest. It's the next episode of Let's Talk About Star Wars. Basically, it's a versus episode, so it's going to be discussing the Revenge of the Sith era, Obi-Wan, or as I like to call him, Obi-Christ Kenobi, and Darth Malak from the Knights of the Old Republic, and basically is who would win in a fight, pretty much. And that's what the episode is going to be. They're going to be listing their powers and their victories and all that stuff. And Ben's going to help decide the winner of that. So check that out. Normally it's 6 o'clock Pacific time, but tonight we're doing it at a special time at 5 o'clock. So definitely join us live on that show on this channel. And of course, you can find me on every other day over on Media Swayze Network doing several shows over there. And my personal Instagram and Twitter at soda_the_Saxman.
Okay.
Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, you guys can also find me on the socials as well if you want to bitch and complain about my little tandem today. Twitter, caramel_pain. I also have an Instagram that's called Rai again, although I barely use it. And then you can also find me on Facebook. Also, Schmoes of the North Network, part of the Mount Schmoedown channel. Tomorrow, I know myself and Ben, we're going to be on Schmoedown Night. We're also going to be doing another Schmoedown Night in Canada, as we are going to be reviewing the past week of this week matches. We're going to hope to try to bring some special guests on to discuss these the Schmoedown matches. And then if you guys enjoy wrestling, or you just don't, or you just want to see what my personality is like when I'm not talking Schmoedown, I do have myself a wrestling podcast I co-host with the current competitor of the First Class League, the Sinister One, James Shimo. It is called Wrestling, Ramblings, and Rages Podcast. We're right now on a break because we're in the midst of some personal changes, but we're going to be coming back on with the show, either reviewing wrestling shows or doing our own personal top 10s of wrestling moments, wrestling promos, whatever we can find.
I like that. I want to talk to you afterwards.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk to you too about that Star Wars. But yeah, as I said again, Wrestle, Ramblings, and Rages Podcast.
Right on.
And you guys can find me with Matt Hen on the Media Studies Network on Shows New, right here on Mount Schmoedown, and other places, and my Twitter at Ben_Radio. From me and Ryan and Soda, everyone have a good week. Smash cancer, stay ready, all ending, and see you next week. Bye.
Actually, cancer smashed.
Smash.
Yes.
Cancer. Thank you. Smash cancer.
But still then, smash cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.